Hi, we're going to be doing a series of discussions on prayer, the Siddur, and we're opening up with the mindset of the one doing the praying.
Mindset of the pray.
The prerequisite.
So when you're little and you think about prayer, be it from a Jewish perspective or any kind of religious perspective, you kind of think of a metaphysical shopping list. You need all this stuff, go pray. You want to be pious.
Metaphysical shopping list.
I
love that.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Okay, I want to bring out a deeply meaningful, deeply personal way of praying, which is essentially what prayer is. So we're going to put out 2 episodes. One will be my take, one will be Simi's take. And then we're going to delve into the actual Siddur. Okay.
So you're talking about the framing, I
Yes,
suppose.
the framing. Okay. Let's start with a story. There was a man who's sending his son out to war. And only when I started having children did I realize that it's not a cool thing. It is gut-wrenching. It is heart-rending to send your child out to war. What he did is that rather than give his boy, all the money or all the goodies that he could for a whole year, he gave him a little bit, and he'll need to find a base to call home and ask for more, right? So rather than being, okay, I love you so much, here's $1 million and just, spend it whenever you will, which is very generous, he gave him a little bit. I want you to find somehow to call me every month.
To keep up. Right.
Right. Why? Because even though he loves him so much, he's not going to give him that much, so that he should create this connection with his son, even though his son is going off to battle, and is going to be able to live with his son every month. And the more and more I see this, especially now with Corona, you stay in touch with somebody with your day-to-day life, you will make that emotional connection. Rather than only at get-togethers and only at birthday parties, it doesn't work. So the same thing is with prayer. We pray every day. We pray, a lot of us, 3 times a day. Why? Not to ask God or to change things in the fabric of the being, although you are doing that, but to become connected to your Creator. A constant call-in, a constant phone call.
So it's almost like putting it in God's point of view. It's the opposite between theism and deism.
Why?
Deism is a God that created and moved away.
Okay.
Theism is a covenant, or at least ethical monotheism, is God has a connection, a constant connection.
Yes.
Even the way we say it, that God recreates, there's this constant connection.
Yes.
So you're saying this is on
Wow.
our perspective.
Yes. And imagine God, even though we know that God is this huge, everlasting, we can't even imagine it, but in this framework, God is a loving Father who just wants us to make a connection with Him.
And you're saying that's the framework that you go into it with.
And here's the clincher. What I think is what gets people away from the concept of praying, what gets people away from even trying to understand, is their own concept of space. What do I mean by that? If you have an inflated sense of your own space, which means that you think you're bigger than you are, you feel you are, you have an inflated ego, you feel you are more than you are, you feel you won't need to pray, right? You don't need that connection to the Father. I can make my own money, thank you very much. I don't need Daddy's gifts every month.
But didn't you say it wasn't a gift list?
Yes, but if you're, very good point, when you're praying, you are showing your dependence on the dad.
So once again, you're still focusing on the self.
Again, the father is sending every month to the son the money, but the point is for the son to make a relationship, because while he's calling, he's telling his dad about how his day was, etc.
Right, I see. So
dad could give him the whole everything. Yeah.
So the inflated sense of self, stops the person wanting to ask. Well, actually, an inflated sense of self will stop the need of relationship.
Yes. Not just asking for stuff. You're right. I can make my own money, 100%. But I also mean that I can make my own money metaphysically. I am a self-made man. I don't need anybody. I am too big for these words. Right? Okay. I actually would stipulate that that's the minority of people. I think most people, what keeps them from praying is a too small sense of self.
So sorry, I didn't realize you were saying what stops people from coming to prayer.
Either a too big sense of self. I don't need to pray. I'm God's gift to the universe anyway.
I don't need this dynamic. I don't need this relationship.
Correct.
Or
I am too small. I am not worthy to pray.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Because if you...
So why having a smaller, why wouldn't that make someone feel the need too if they felt they were insignificant?
True, but I'll give you an example. When I'm coaching somebody and they are driven to become the best person they can be, they are able to give me, one of the first things I do is I ask them about what's good about themselves. I have them write a list of good attributes. Someone who's highly motivated to, let's say, succeed in their career, become the best marriage partner they can be, whatever it is, they can give me a list of what's good about them. The people who are not that motivated, the people who don't even know where to start, those are the people who aren't able to give me their strengths. It is people who have an adequate sense of self that are able to then make connections, to ask for help. You can't ask for help if you feel there's nothing worth helping.
There's nothing worth saving.
There's nothing worth saving. Whereas if you feel, I need help, God, I want a connection with you, which means I feel like there's something to have a connection with. I was a different person yesterday as I am today, and I want to share that with you, God. Whereas if I'm nothing, and I'll never be anything, I'm nothing yesterday and there was nothing today, what is there to talk about? What is there to share? Okay, do you want to recap? Make sure
Okay,
I was
so
completely
the
clear.
first stage is the framing, the relationship, meaning rather than a metaphysical shopping list, the idea of a cash machine in the sky, which is part of the words.
Cash machine.
Part of the words we're using definitely reflects this, but that's not the point. The point more is the framing that you go into it with, and you look at it through that lens. The ones that you described was the metaphor of the story of the soldier, that it's this constant connection that is built through the idea of prayer. And then you reflected on the two things that stop a person getting involved in this. On the one side, an inflated sense of self or a diminished sense of self. Inflated, there's no room, I don't need. Diminished sense of self is, I'm not worthy.
Right. All right.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you for
we will
listening.
see you next episode.